Hello folks, Pastor Rocky Branch. Hope you're doing great today. In the book of Luke, chapter number 17, is a story about 10 lepers that are all congregated together because they obviously have something in common. They all have leprosy. In the Bible days, leprosy was a very dreadful disease. It's dreadful now, but in the Bible days, if you started down the street and you had leprosy, which is a very tragic skin disease, a blood disease, and your body would run with pus, it would be open wounds, and it was just not a good situation. But if you were approaching people in the Bible, you were commanded to cry out the word tame, tame. And what that means is, stay clear, I have leprosy, and you're warning people. And people would give you room because they didn't want to catch leprosy. It was very contagious. Well, Jesus comes down the road, and there's 10 of these lepers together, and they cry out to Jesus and ask for mercy. And Jesus says, go to the priest, and you shall be healed. Well, they're on their way, and one of them recognizes that his leprosy is drying up, that he's healed. And he stops, and he turns around, and he gives Jesus praise. And Jesus says those very strong words to us, where are the other 9? Were there not 10? Yet this one turns to give me thanks. Well, the one that turned was a Samaritan, which if you know much about the Bible, you know the Jews and the Samaritans didn't have anything to do with each other. There was a very much prejudiced nature one toward the other. And they didn't have anything, didn't like each other. In fact, the Jews called the Samaritans dogs, called them half-breeds, and they didn't get along at all. But here's something that's important. This Samaritan was in the group, and there could have been other people in the group. We don't know, but we do know that the guy that gives thanks is a Samaritan because that's what the Scripture says. There could have been other people in the group, I don't know. But what it does mean to us is that leprosy, which represents sin, brings people together. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter who you are, who your parents were. Sin brings people together. Even though you might have cultural differences, sin brings you together. And that's what happens in this story. These 10 lepers are hanging out. They don't have anywhere to go, and they certainly can't be around anybody else, so they find common ground. That's what sinners do. Now, we're all sinners. Let me back up on that statement. We all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But that's what people that don't live right, that don't care, do. They find that common ground with people like them. May not be somebody they would normally hang out with, but sin brings people together, and sin allows compromise. Because the Jews and the Samaritans had nothing to do with each other. But compromise came into effect because of the condition of the soul. That's very important for you and I to think about today, because sometimes we compromise because we're just as guilty as the next guy, maybe just in a different way. Well, when they cry out to Jesus for mercy, well, he grants them mercy. And they take off to the priest to have the priest to say that we have been healed. And as they take off, the Samaritan in the group looks and sees that his hands are drying up, his body, whatever, but in some way he recognizes that he's healed. Whether he feels healed or not, I don't know. It doesn't tell us, but it does know that he recognizes that he's healed. He stops. And he comes back and he bows down to Jesus and he thanks Jesus. And Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. How thankful are you today? Now, you woke up this morning. Some of you might have worked third shift. Some of you might have been up since 2 or 3 o'clock because you couldn't sleep. Some of you might have just gotten in the house. Might have been out partying or whatever. How thankful are you for what God has done for you? See, that's the issue. Now, people will say, well, you know, where I work, you know, there's people there at work that I can't say anything about. Well, this guy, he was at a place where he would not normally have fit in. He was around other people, and the Bible calls him in this passage a stranger. He wasn't in the covenant. That's what it means. He wasn't part of the covenant. He was a stranger. Yet he gives God glory. What about you? How good has God been to you? Think about that with me for a minute. Now, this is what I think about. This is my little finite mind. This is the way that I roll here. I flipped the lights on this morning. They came on. I got in my car, turned the switch, it cranked up. Man, how good is that? I got up this morning out of a bed. Think about that. I got out of a bed this morning. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Our Thanksgiving is so important. And when I started to put my clothes on today, I had multiple choices. Not just one choice, but multiple choices, including shoes and belts. God has blessed. In everything, give thanks. In the cup of coffee, the bowl of cereal, the fried egg, the pan to put it in. Everything, give thanks. What about you? Are you grumbling and carrying on and acting foolish because something didn't happen that you wanted to happen? That didn't matter anything about eternity anyway. You just didn't get your way, or whatever the case may be. Oh, my friend, listen. Jesus said the question, were there not 10? Where are the 9? When's the last time you've given Jesus Christ a heartfelt thank you? Oh my. A heartfelt, God, I love you. I mean, a heartfelt. Oh, listen. Your family is important, obviously. Very critical. Hug your spouse, hug your kids, hug your friends, of course. I saw the Spurs win the championship last night. I saw Martin Kramer win the U.S. Open yesterday. They hugged. Man, did they not hug and carry on. Both sports. Hugging is good. Telling somebody you love them is good. Take that opportunity. Write a note. You know, I've received many notes over the years. I've sent many. I've received many notes over the years where somebody just wrote a note and say, Pastor, I just want you to know, man, I love you. Wow. I've sent many of those notes along the way. I've had people call back and say, man, right at the right time I received that note. So, today, be thankful. And, well, God will bless you for it. God bless you. We love you. And goodbye.